Good morning, everybody. By request, I am making a YouTube video because people want to know my recipe for my beans. People absolutely love my beans. Guess only I love my coffee, though. So today I'm going to be using these beans. It doesn't really matter uh, the brand. What matters is the size and the color. You want to look for a nice color. Now I keep my beans in these things right here. And these beans are just fine, but they're a little bit older than those beans. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these out for this video, and I'm just going to make a new mix inside this container. I actually prefer the smaller beans, and you don't want to cook big beans with smaller beans because they take a different amount of time. The bigger beans cook a little longer, take longer, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're using a pressure cooker like I'm going to use, because when I'm doing them over there on the burner, I usually always burn them. I'm going to be using 1 quart of beans. Now, last time I made beans, I tried a quart and about a half a pint. It was just too much. There was too many beans in it, and it just kind of, I just didn't like it. Anyways, a quart's perfect for that, especially with my other ingredients, which I'm using crushed tomatoes. I use a pretty good sized can. I tried it with paste last time, tomato paste. A couple times I've tried it that way, and I don't like it with tomato paste. It gives it an odd flavor. I like crushed tomatoes, and if they're too big, I'll actually put them in my blender. I'll show you after I open it, and I'll blend them up and make them smaller because I don't like big chunks of tomato. But that's a preference. This hamburger, this is the kind of hamburger I use. I don't like using regular hamburger for, I guess that's a preference too. I think that just tastes better because I can chop this up a little better, and I'll show you in the pan when I get it all in the pan with my onions and garlic powder and black pepper. And this is, I'd like Himalayan salt. This is not really the salt I would normally use, but it's all I have. And of course I love my coffee. Now here's something very important that I want to show you. I want my beans to have a salt flavor, but I don't actually want to put a bunch of salt in my beans. Now, I do this because I'm going to put them in the pressure cooker just with the salt, and I'm going to set this in only 5 minutes. Boom. So this is only going to reach a temperature for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to unplug it, and then while it's cooling off, and while it's doing that, see, now that's a process of cleaning the beans and getting that nasty, stinking smell out of your beans. When your beans stink, it's because they need to be pre-washed, but I like to even cook a little bit of that stinky flavor out of it. Now, I like to chop my onions for one reason in a chopper, is because my eyes are very sensitive, and I don't like to cry. I don't like my eyes burning. I usually use half this much hamburger, or a little more than half, but because of the size, but I just decided to use this whole thing. It's a preference. How much hamburger you want in it is a preference. It doesn't change the taste of these good old beans. Chili powder. You don't want too much chili powder, but I do kind of pour it on there. This is my Himalayan salt. I don't want too much on there. I don't want these beans to be too salty, and I can salt them later. I like my garlic powder. And I do this before I even just start heating the pan, because I want to smash all this up, because I want all this, you know what, I don't like the flavor of hamburger. So here I've mixed it up really nice, and I just like the way that looks. And I don't like big ass chunks of hamburger in my beans. I don't like to be chewing on a I don't like to be chewing on a big old chunk of hamburger. I like little pieces of hamburger mixed with every bite of my beans and have all this flavor. And hamburger really is gross, so I like it to be flavored up really nice before I put it into my beans. And most people will be like, "Oh, that don't make a difference." It does. I've tried it. Um, when you go so far as like I've seen cooking shows where they'll be, see my eyes being burned just from the onions. People will be putting in spices and put a little dab of this and put a little dab of that and this seasoning and that seasoning. Oh, by the way, check out my spice rack. I made that spice rack myself. And then after they do all that, they go and pour this 2 quarts of tomato sauce in it. And like that just wiped out all those flavors. You know what I mean? But this is a lot of flavor to a little bit of meat. I want to get rid of that meat flavor and have some nice seasoned meat. Now I've opened up my can of tomato sauce. This is just a can I got from Commodities. It was a free can. It's a good kind though. I am particular kind of about some of them. So this is really good. It's already chopped. This is very good. So yeah, this is my favorite type. Let's see how it tastes. Yeah, that really tastes great. Yeah, and I just dipped my spoon back into the tomatoes, but I didn't really touch the spoon. I just kind of like sucked it off. Now this meat's pretty well cooked. I'm going to turn it off. You don't want to cook it to where it's so dry because you'll end up having a burn flavor that you might not want. So a little bit juicy, not too much. I'm not going to drain that oil off because there's not enough oil there to drain off. And those are really good flavors. That's just uh, animal fat. It isn't no added oils or greases. So I'm going to use it. So my pressure cooker just got up to temperature, and so now it's got 5 minutes to count down. Meanwhile, I'll just go sit down and drink my coffee. Yes, it's in a quart jar. I love jars because I'm a canner. So some people use a crock pot and to cook beans, and some people just like to cook them on the stove. And that works for a lot of people. When I used a crock pot, I could never get my beans to cook. I don't know. Other people say, yeah, they're cooked fine. And I have done it way in the past, but it runs out of water. And if you're not watching it, they burn very easily. So I've had a big habit of burning my beans, a big history. My parents really made good beans. So I guess that's where I get my cooking skills from is my parents. Both my parents made really delicious beans, and I have never been able to make beans like they do. I feel that my beans are better, but that's only been since I've been using the pressure cooker. If I didn't use a pressure cooker, they wouldn't be better. And I've just got a certain recipe I go by, and but they called their beans chili. Well, I put chili powder in my beans, so I guess they're chili beans. I don't really know the definition of that, but yeah, my parents made good beans. 5 minutes later. So they're done. I'm gonna turn them off. My thing over here. Gotta let off that steam. Hot. 5 minutes later. When it's done blowing off steam, this thing right here, oh, there. Okay, so it went down real easy. You don't want to force that down. When that pops up, the locking mechanism engages. So, see, now it's not locked. It still feels like it's under pressure a little bit. It's fine. I think I actually didn't put enough water in there. Get my spoon over here. Yeah, well, it's fine. Anyways, like I said, I only do this for the cleaning process, just for a few minutes, and they're almost half done already. I guarantee it. And to put salt in the water gives these beans a flavor. I'm going to drain all this water off and rinse them. So there is a salt flavor in the bean, but there's not going to be an excessive amount of salt because I'm going to drain all that off. When cooking my beans, it is very important to flavor your meat very well, however you want your meat flavored, and to put salt in the water and cook them in the pressure cooker for 5 minutes. That is important with that salt water. It helps give the flavor that people like. It's very important. Now, the actual reason that I actually rinse these, which I can't really do with both hands, but see all that? That's what gives your shit a bad flavor. At least that's what I believe. I mean, that's like dirt, and it's part of the skin and it crumbles. But I want to eat clean beans. And if, for all you people that have eaten beans before, you all know that there's rocks and there's dirt clods and stuff, You want all that shit out of there. So that's good. I'm just really trying to get just the majority. See, that stuff even clogs my little drain here. Because this drain was clean before I did this. So all that stuff, yeah, that's I don't know what that is. And dirt and whatever. Who knows? All the crap that I don't want in my beans. So there's some nice, beautiful beans. Yeah, they're half cooked. And they got a little salty flavor. You don't want to eat uncooked beans. Now, pressure cooker cooks them so fast, these will be done in 1 hour. And I guarantee you ain't going to do that in a crock pot or over the stove. Ever. All right, so I'm going to add in I want to add the tomatoes first. I want to add the water last because sometimes I add the water and don't add the tomatoes yet. And I'm like, oh shit, man. I've got to take some of the water out because that big old can of tomato takes up a lot of space. That's actually a whole lot of meat to this small amount of beans. That's why I'll usually use only half that amount of meat. But there's other people in the house that really like the meat in it. I don't usually cook for me. I mean, I like to eat the beans. I'll eat these beans until they're gone. That's all I'll eat. I'll eat them for like 3 days. Everybody else won't eat them. But they do eat some. They just can't eat them for 3 days like me. I'll add my hot water. And I want to bring it up about 2 inches from the top. It just looks like it's only going to be 2 quarts of water. Yeah, not even 2 quarts. So there it is with all the ingredients. I'm going to stir it, and I don't have to worry about evaporation in this thing. Sometimes it does seep out, through some of the cracks and you know, and through the thing right here because it gets so hot and, you know, and boiling. That's why I don't want it any higher than it is already, because already there's might be a little seepage. I'm actually wanting to invest in a bigger crock pot, not a crock pot, a pressure cooker. This is actually a crock pot also. So if you were to get something like this, you know, see it says pressure cooker. It's got slow cook low and high, and sear. I never used that. Didn't even know that it said that. I thought it was low and medium and high. So yeah, this is a crock pot too. So out like that. Plug it back in. Okay, it's plugged back in. Got everything. I'm going to set this on 30 minutes. And press the button. Now it'll cook longer than 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes, when this actually dings and, you know, and it finishes the 30 minutes, I'm just going to turn it off and unplug it. And then I'm going to just let it sit for an hour before touching this. I'm not going to let the steam out. I just want it to stay under pressure for an hour. I don't need to cook it for an hour and a half, but it will be under pressure for an hour. So yeah, I don't really cook them in 30 minutes. Really, the whole process is a 2-hour process, but it's better than 5 or 6 hours. Some people cook beans for. Well, this is my first YouTube video for cooking, and I was planning on doing lots of videos, and I should have taken a shower before this video because I know that everybody saw all those flakes all over. It comes from my beard, and I was like, oh man, yeah, I was on my computer just now and seeing that, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to redo this video. In the future, I'm going to have my own kitchen. I'm going to buy a trailer, and I'm going to have my own kitchen inside of. I'm going to build the trailer exactly how I want, and this is about a year from now. So I'm Barry Canner, and it will be Canner's Kitchen, and I will be cooking and selling canned foods online. I surely will be clean, super, super clean. I just woke up just like an hour ago and just jumped up. Instead of jumping in the shower first, you know, I'll go take a shower now, but yeah, I should have taken the shower first and changed my shirt that I slept in all night. I just got up and was just wanting these beans. Had the meat thawing out all night, and I had just thought about making the video just before I started to make these beans. So I didn't really think that through. I didn't really realize that my shirt was going to be so dirty. So sorry for that. I'm not normally that way. It's just because I woke up. Also, in the future, I'll probably just shave all this off. I'll probably go bald. I won't have any hair on my head. I won't risk any of that. I'll wear a mask. I'll be totally clean. Nice color. Absolutely delicious. Right amount of salt. Needs a little more onion powder. I like onion. Oh, that's it. Now, this particular beans comes with a little, probably a little powder, you know. I mean, and I can actually scrape some of that and put it all together if you want. If you're interested in buying some of that seasoning, um, called beard seasoning powder. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you'll see cleaner videos in the future.